All right, ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Robert Williams here, back with another video. And today we are going to talk about support, resistance, drawing trend lines, drawing horizontal lines, but looking and identifying areas of support and resistance. So if you haven't already, go ahead and you can follow me on Instagram at The Emotional Trader. Would appreciate that, or just continue to subscribe to some of these videos. I'm just on here sharing some of the knowledge, having fun, teaching and talking about stock trading and charting from a technical standpoint. So as I mentioned, today we're going to talk about support and resistance lines. And instead of going off of some of the stocks that I have in my core watch list that I've already kind of drawn some lines on and done those things, as like you can see here on AMD, let's utilize a different utilize a different watch list here. So on my Thinkorswim, what we have here is my normal basic setup of what I generally look at on the daily basis. I have my daily chart with my volume down here. I have different studies. The most popular one that I use has a bunch of EMA lines on there. So I like to generally trade faster as a trader and a swing trader and options trader. But what we're going to look at is my no EMAs study setting, because you have no moving averages. And what we're going to simply do is look for trend lines and draw them in like I have here. And so let's go to a different watch list though, because all of my stocks generally have some lines on it already. So let's look at the public S&P 100 watch list on Thinkorswim. We'll skip over Apple and let's go to our first stock of ABBV. On the left-hand side, you'll see that I have my top watch list section as my indexes. And then we have the watch list that I would generally look at. And then we have a 1-minute chart. And I like to look at a 1-minute chart, help with some entries and stuff like that, or you can just see the movement for the day. But with this main chart, we have no trend lines on here, no moving averages on here. We're just going to look for areas of support and resistance. And so we're looking to see, like when you're looking for stocks or when you're looking for something to potentially trade, sometimes you want to just generally start looking for a pattern. Is it going to be an uptrend? Is it going to be a downtrend? Is it going to be sideways movement or whatever? Is it a head and shoulders? Is it an M pattern? Is it a W, right? Which is, double tops, double bottoms. And so you want to be able to identify those areas of support and resistance. And there's an old saying that's very popular and it rings very true in trading, is that old support can become new resistance. So we're going to try to identify those as well. So let's just run through as many stocks as we can in a short period of time and go from there. So I have here ABBV. And so I always want to start off at least identifying an area that looks to be support, right? And whether it's on an uptrend, like as you can see, this was uptrending pretty steeply here from March of last year to about July. But we're in this time frame here. So let's look for the most recent stuff. And what we can easily see here is that we have an area that looks to be support. And we have an apparent resistance, right? An area where the stock did not break through. So on my price level line here that I have in my tools, I'm going to draw a price level line across the top. That's our resistance because it didn't break through there. And we obviously can see there's 2 points of support. And in this example, as I mentioned, old resistance becomes new support is ringing very true here, because we have 2 areas where it bounced off support, here and here. And that was an area or a zone of resistance previously here in November and also back here in July. Now, I don't know if this was an all-time high on ABBV because it was only looking at a 1-year chart, but obviously we can see it came up, hit this point, pulled back, and then also came up, then finally broke through, created a new high, pulled back to that old resistance and bounced up from there and created a new high, and then I was pulled back to an area of the old resistance, which seems to now be a new support. So as we can see here, right now we have kind of a rolling stock in this zone, but we also have an area where we have some resistance on a diagonal line, 1, 2, 3 points from the top that it hasn't been able to break through, you can kind of include this one as well, because areas of resistance and support are not always an exact line, but it could be a zone. So here's some examples just on ABBB of an area of support and an area of resistance. And depending on your trading plan, and if you're going to be buying at support or resistance, you'd kind of be able to get an idea of where you may want to enter. If you were to go on an up move on ABBB, you could have bought at support and played it up to resistance at 112. But of course, we didn't know that this was a resistance at 112. The prior resistance before this one would have been the previous high, which would have been 108, right? So let's just take a look at ABT. Don't know who these stocks are. Abbott Laboratories, okay. Never followed these, so we're doing all this together. So apparently what we see on the chart, we see movement that's up and to the right. So that looks to be like an uptrend. Let's try and connect some bottoms here. We have this recent low, and we have these lows that it's hitting against. There's also these ones here. And there's also this one back here. So notice how you have this trend here. You have these lows connects with all the bottoms of this, and it connects with this bottom from back here in June. Then we also had, if you wanted to run through these, you had this bottom, these three bottoms connecting here. 1, 2, and this line here. So you had that. But when you want to connect as many bottoms as possible, even if you go all the way down here, you're really hitting on a lot of support zone right here. So I like the first trend line that we draw. And with Thinkorswim, what you can do to determine your uptrend is you can draw parallel, you could do a duplicate line. And now you have parallel lines where we drag it up to the resistance side and at least the previous resistance right here, right? And we can ping it there, and we can see that it's gone through that resistance area and that one. Of course, if we pull it up more, we can see too that these hit right on point. So maybe you may have drawn your resistance lines back here, and you have areas of two touching resistance points. So if you were already in this trade bullish back in this area, you would have anticipated potentially this this run up to be up to the 130 areas, but you can see we kind of stopped short there. So we can pull it back because that's the recent high. And now we have what it looks to be like an uptrend channel. And let's see if we have some area of where old resistance meets new support. I'm gonna get rid of this line, go to a price action level. And it looks like we do. Right now, where we're at the support level was an old resistance level tagging this one. Well, we have it, this one here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, it doesn't have to be right on point, but it's a zone, right? This was an uptrend resistance zone. This is a horizontal resistance zone that used to be a zone of, a horizontal support area now that used to be an old resistance zone. Based off here, when it broke out, here, here, and there. That's 4 touches there. And now we've come down to test it, and we should anticipate that the stock goes up. And we're not considering any news right now in this case either. Let's take a look at this one. ACN, Accenture, I think I said that right. So let's see, it's definitely moving up and to the right, but here, just with my cursor, I'm seeing zones of support here. Let's see what we have. So we have this here, price level. We have, if we draw the line, there we go. So we have a zone here from a recent support, kind of a support. Oh, again, resistance, 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 resistance. Old resistance becoming a new support. We also look to see we definitely have a new resistance of the high here. And let's see if there's any trending on an uptrend or downtrend side. Like if we took the recent low here, is there things that we can connect here? Not really. If you tried to connect something here, that really doesn't look good. It's just going through a lot of stuff. So right now, there is no real like uptrend pattern. And let's look on the top side. Our recent high was kind of here. We have this one and this one. So this looks like some downward pressure from its recent high, but it found its support here, bounce came up, resistance, resistance, bounce, resistance. So this looks like a descending wedge that it's building here, right? And a descending wedge is where you have a horizontal bottom and a downtrending resistance, and it's essentially pushing pressure down to this apex is at this corner here, and it's either going to break up and continue to go up or break down. Descending wedges typically break down because the pressure is down. And again, this is with no EMAs on it. Let's take a look at Adobe. So this is pretty evident. It was in an uptrend. Oh, I got some lines on this one. It was in an uptrend, and then it had some sideways movement, and it just broke, right? So we had the uptrend in this area, pretty steep, right? Hitting through some of those lines there. I don't really like that though, but it's okay. We're going to remove that. But what we recently have saw, we had some areas of support here. Look how that's tagging quite a few areas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you were to have, if you had purchased here in anticipation of it going up, that made sense because there was these areas of support that you would have bought the bounce of. And here you have some areas of apparent resistance, right? It pulled back in the 505 area, but typically bounced around the 450 area. If you're back here, and that was a quick drop, so I don't know if you would have anticipated that, but bouncing up and then goes up to old resistance here, and then pulls down, did a little bit of litty bitty bounce, and then hit again the support going up to resistance, and now it pulled back and broke below it. All right, so that's some lines on there. This one looks like it's going down, but wants to pull back up. We don't know where the EMAs are on here, but we're just putting it from a price action technical standpoint. AIG, the insurance company, I got some lines on that, but that chart doesn't look pretty at all. Let's see, ALL, Allstate Corporation. Obviously, it looks like we had some movement that was sideways, but yet down, because here's a horizontal, kind of there, some areas of support. Now we're in an uptrend. Let's try and draw something here. I guarantee you this is some writing of a EMA, I bet. So I just connected the two bottoms, but it doesn't really give us much, right? Because there's nothing else that's connecting here. So it's not the prettiest looking chart. Let's duplicate the line and see if these tops run along. Okay. There's a lot of running along the top of resistance, but we wouldn't have known that until right now, right? So it's not the prettiest chart to want to trade. It's definitely looks like it's starting to go to the upside. If we draw a horizontal line on there, our resistance zone is there, even though it broke up higher there. It's still closed about there. So that's our resistance zone, where it closed at today. Based off of the previous resistance, kind of broke it, went up there, and now we're here. So, I mean, you could put it there. You could also put it up here to include the wick. This is our resistance zone. Some down area here. This looks to be also, you know, an old area that was resistance back here. This zone, wider zone, obviously. Some support here and support there too, if you wanted to draw in a horizontal line. So this is how you're kind of looking at drawing support and resistance, okay? So let's see, how much time we got? 14 minutes, all right. Look at this chart. This chart looks ugly, but we can easily see there's some support zone here. 1, 2, 3, it broke below it, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And do we have a resistance area? Yeah, it looks to have a kind of clear resistance area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously, this would have been a cause of concern if you were in here. You would have anticipated it going up to here. But again, I always like to say this is all based on what we're seeing right now. Because if you were in it back here, obviously you can see the clear resistance here. that's here, but this would have looked like it was the support area, right? Because that was only a few areas that didn't give you a good idea, but this would have been your zone area of support and resistance. And then obviously you go through it, you see that it broke it, dip below, and now this one comes more into play. So it's all really like, what am I seeing? You know, if you can only based off what you're seeing right here at the far right of the screen, far right, I don't know, far right of the screen is all that you can see. So that's what I kind of see for there based off what we're seeing right now. Here is your, I'll remove that line. Here's your support area, and here's your resistance. It has the most touches at this point. But you can get a 220, you got 220 to a 260 move. It's pretty good. Still not the prettiest chart. All right. Oh, AMT. Good. We're in a downtrending stop, right? We can obviously see this is tailoring its way down this way. So let's go ahead. Oh, look at that. I didn't know I had these on there, but they're on there. Let's just move them a little bit. So let's see what we got. We have this resistance zone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. And we have the support zone. So this is downtrending, right? Downtrending, lower lows, lower highs, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower high. About the same low. Higher high in here, but still with this downtrend though, lower high. Now we got a lower low. So that we can anticipate if this came up, probably somewhere around here and break down. The other thing to kind of notice, and let's see if we can see it here, is the lower high sometimes is an old resistance area, like right here between this one and this area. This area came into play again here. Like that was a gap up. There's some earnings in this section. This lower high kind of comes into play here, kind of comes into play there. This high comes into play here with these other older supports. So the same way that you can say that old resistance becomes new support, you can say old support can become new resistance. And when it comes to these downtrends or even rolling stones. Let's move to, there's Amazon. I'm not gonna go in there. Let's see, American Express. Has some upward movement. Boeing. Do I have any lines on Boeing? No. This looks like a ugly chart, by the way. Don't necessarily know how I would trade that. That looks like some sideways downtrend. Then a pop up. Some earnings after earnings action. That's downtrend. That's uptrend. So, but we do have what it looks to be typical area of resistance. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have areas of resistance there. And so let's see if it continues to break out of that. It's Bank of America. It's starting to look like it's on uptrend, but I have lines on this one. Let's see, Biogen. Don't know what that is. BK. This would be Bank of New York Mellon Corp. I was going to say Magellan. I don't know how I was going to do that. All right, so we look like to have some uptrend over the past, months since October. Maybe we can draw some support lines on here. Let's go with this bottom and connect this one and this one. Not bad. Let's see if we can duplicate that, run that over. There's these connectors, and there's no real other connection here. Like this top is not connecting with anything here. There's a lot of running connection here, but it doesn't really give you a clear idea of where resistance is. So the only thing that you can kind of make up is that your resistance is this zone here, because this is where it pulled back up. Let's see, did this have any? This area played some resistance. There's one here, and then stopped it out there, stopped it out there, stopped it out there. But that's getting really minute. I'm not gonna lie. That's really like nitpicking on that zoning area. But that's all I can see for this chart right here. Booking Holdings Inc. Booking.com. We definitely have uptrends up and to the right. Let's see if we can get a trend line on there. Look, that's pretty steep and it doesn't give us much. That cuts through these. Let's see if we can duplicate the drawing, throw something on there. Yeah. I don't really like it. You got that, but it runs through all those, and you have that one. So I'm not too excited about that. It's probably, we could definitely tell it's on the uptrend. Resistance at this point that we can say for sure is the 2450, which is the recent high that could potentially break. That's as much as you can kind of put on there. That was an area of resistance, but it didn't necessarily act as new support right away. BlackRock looks to have some support zone here. So let's see if it can hold that zone and continue to pop up. And of course, it's resistance here. But before that, you can see it was in an uptrend. May not have been the prettiest uptrend. That's too steep, and then definitely nothing parallel. That cuts across too much right there. But you can see that it was on an uptrend. Let's try and do two more. And I'm just going in alphabetical order. Let's see here. Back here, you can see there was some support just by connecting some horizontal lines. Bam, bam, bam. But it doesn't really come into play. This came into play here, that zone, and kind of broke through it here as well. So those were two areas of support. So let's say if this one broke further, you had one area of support, bounced up, kind of two, bounced up, three, bounced up, lower. Now you have four that bounced up. If it fell, I would be looking to see, well, it should have some support at the 57. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 previous times of that area in the 57 zone where it did hit some support. And then also it acted as a little bit of resistance. 1, 2, 3, 4, a little bit of resistance there, and which became the support that was 1, 2, 3, and 4, just right there. And obviously you have some resistance right there at 67. Caterpillar. Let's skip on Caterpillar. Okay. So if I went here to try and draw some lines, that's too steep. And it looks like it's gone on a really nice run. These red lines are Fibonacci lines, if you guys, in case you're looking. But that apparently definitely is an uptrend because it's just higher highs, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher highs, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and that can go on and on. But these Fibonacci lines definitely look to have come into play from last year's pullback on some fibs that I drew probably a long time ago. And it's hitting now the 423% line and pulled back and hit it again, and pulled back. So just wanted to run through some things real quickly, like literally go through and you just kind of skim the chart, right? And once you see, if you look for saying to yourself, I'm only going to trade uptrend patterns or downtrend patterns or sideways patterns, well, just click and go through your watch list and look to see, am I getting a downtrend? Yeah, all right, let me try and draw some lines. Or when this was an uptrend, try and draw some lines of support resistance. And you just go down your list and you're saying, okay, that's an uptrend. But Capital One, that's an uptrend. Let me try and draw some lines on there so I can see my support resistance to potentially get in somewhere at support. ConocoPhillips, that's a steep uptrend as of late, but it was rolling before that and then went up. Let's see here. Costco had, looks like it wasn't necessarily a head and shoulders, maybe a triple top. 1, 2, 3, then it broke down. And was the earnings good though? The earnings didn't hit estimates, but that's okay. Everybody still loves Costco. Salesforce, looking back, you're looking like you're at a downtrend. Here's the uptrend line that I did have on it, but let's see where we're moving down. If I draw the duplicate line, pull it down. Our bottoms are kind of touching, so hopefully this pulls up some, but it may turn back down. So you'd have to see it break this 249 high to know that it's back in an uptrend. And let's see here. What's the next thing we're looking for? I don't think I actually meant to do that, but we are, yeah, Cisco doesn't have too much that I can see. CVS looks like some sideways movement, at least right now, with a very short-term downtrend since the beginning of the year. CVX, Chevron, spiking, it looks like here. Steep uptrend, but before that, there was an area of support. There was your area of resistance. DuPont, You had some definite uptrend here, broke down a little bit. But here is, what's that, support there based off that pivot. And you generally need like one or two, no, like two or three, maybe zones to be able to determine your support sometimes. Definitely some uptrend on Disney. Disney's doing the same. That's wilding out. There's the Dow Jones. We have Duke Energy, Emerson Electronic. This looks to be a downtrend right now. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. Let's duplicate. What the heck did this do? That thing just disappeared on me. Oh, that thing is wilding out right now. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and end our video now. Just wanted to share that little bit with you, and definitely went probably about 5-10 minutes longer than I wanted to. But until next time, hope you guys enjoyed that. And until next time, continue to think, live, and be unstoppable. See you guys in the future. Peace.